So we're going to be doing the Discovery Bible Study Method at Fusion this year, and I want to just share with you some about that. There's a lot of great videos, so nothing I'm sharing with you is new. None of this is original. This is a strategy that's been happening around the world, around our country, and really effective. So let me just jump right into it. Each week, we're going to go through a series of questions around the small group and around the Bible. We already last year and past years started with the first question. So we're just asking how they're doing. So it's questions like this. One of them would be, what are you thankful for this week? Instead of just saying highs and lows, also ask them in the terms of what are they thankful for, because it helps to teach them to be thankful to God. But then what's a low, or what's something that stressed you out that we can be concerned about for you? And do you have any prayer requests for some friends? You don't have to ask the prayer request question right in the beginning. But the first section is very similar to before. We're just checking in of how you're doing. Then we transition to the Bible study part. So what we're going to do there is we say, what did we read last week? So we ask people, right, does anybody remember what the scripture was? And ask somebody to share it. Then we ask somebody, did you make any commitments last week? And how'd you do on those? We're holding them accountable and asking them, because as you're going to see later, we asked them to make a commitment to do something this week. So we're checking how did they do with that. So after we kind of recap last week, then we go on to this week. What we say is, let's say a brief prayer. Just say a prayer. Somebody, God, open up our eyes, help us to understand the word and learn how we can apply it. So then what we do is we bought 100 Bibles. They're all the same, NIV, simple Bibles. So everybody will have a Bible. We're going to encourage people to bring their Bible, but if they don't, we'll pass them out and we'll collect them at the end of the night. So everyone can open up and read the Bible together. So what we do is we ask somebody to read the scripture. So they'll read the whole scripture. Then we ask somebody else to reread the scripture. So we read it twice. Then we all shut our Bibles and we say, okay, who would be willing to retell the story in your own words? And say, we know you're not going to get it all right, you're going to forget things, but in general, recap the story. So after they recap the story, we say, did they miss anything? And let the group fill it in. What did we miss? And then when we kind of agree that that's what the story was, we open the Bible back up and we go through some very specific but very simple questions. So first idea is, what does this passage teach us about God? Okay, so we go through and we just look, what is God telling us to do? What does it show us about God, his character or whatever? And this is going to take a while as we go through that. The second question is, what does this teach us about man? So it could be, what are, things that will happen if we don't follow what God said, or blessings that we could expect, or curses that will happen. So what does this teach us about God? What does this teach us about man? And then the next line of questioning is, so if we believe this passage is true and is of God, what should I change in my life? Or what should I do because of this passage? And then we encourage people, we don't force them, obviously, but we encourage them to come up with an I will statement. So based on this, it's telling us to treat people better. So you say, I will treat my mom nicer this week, or I will help my little brother with his homework, or whatever. And if they have an I will statement, a commitment, we jot it down. And then the next idea is, who are you going to share this with? Share this passage with, there's teaching. So we encourage them to think through and begin to pray through, who do you know? It could be just it could be a family member, it could be someone at school that doesn't know who Jesus is. We're going to let God work that part out. So again, we just go through these really simple areas, but doing this actually takes quite a while. And what we're doing, right? So this is a question-based learning, not a teacher-based learning. So we ask the questions and we let everybody dive into scripture. So a couple thoughts. As somebody asks a question, we don't flip to all sorts of other places and teach them this is what this means, and this is what Baptists believe, and this is what Methodists believe. And we're just looking at the scripture, and we're just trusting that God's going to work through this. Okay? So as we do this, what we believe you're going to see, and what people have seen all over the place, people really owning their faith. And this is going to help them to make commitments and follow through. So we're not just readers of the word or hearers of the word, but we begin to be doers of the word. And as we follow up with that, and if somebody says the next week, yeah, I did help my brother with his homework, that was one of my commitments, say that's awesome, and we encourage that and we celebrate that. I love that phrase, what gets celebrated gets duplicated. So you can rewatch this video if you want to go through again. There's also a link below of a really good teaching on this that's a little bit longer and more detailed. So that's it. Love you guys. Bye.